Good day, everybody. I took 3 reboots of my phone camera for the camera to cooperate since 5:10 a.m. this morning. So just so you know how and why I was so late. I have no idea what time it is now, but I know that it is at least 6 minutes more than I wanted to go past 5:10. I don't ever want to go past 5:10 if I can help it, but this morning I couldn't help it. I choose to give you morsels of a thought of wisdom every day to inspire you to have a great day, hopefully imparting something good, hopefully entertaining you a little bit, trying to bring more virtue into the world. Wisdom is knowing what to do. Virtue is the actual doing of it. That said the fortune cookie. And I will read to you from today Sherrie, Schneider, and Ellen Fein. Yay! Yay! The New York Times best-selling authors of The Rules. Ellen Fein and Sherrie Schneider, The Rules Handbook, a guide to creating loving and lasting relationships. And today we are in the course of Create Respectful Marriages and Partnerships in the week 1 Engaged. Day 270. Don't be a diva. Now that you've got the ring and the wedding date, does that mean you throw the rules out the window? No. You still need to follow the rules for engagement. You still don't see him 24/7. If you live together, don't be needy or glued to his side. Be independent and stay in your power. While planning the wedding, don't be a diva and be nice to his family and friends. Perhaps you want an elaborate affair, he wants something low key, or vice versa. Don't demand that everything go your way. Some brides are so obsessed with the perfect party that they forget to include their fiance in the decision making. Of course, if he's fine with you picking the flowers, venue, and everything else, great. But if he wants to be involved, let him. Posting pretty photos on Facebook and Instagram is not the goal. Being happily married is. We know it's hard if your whole life you've dreamed of a big fancy wedding, but your fiance would rather spend the money on the down payment for a house. Don't throw a fit or mope around complaining that he's being cheap. You can still have the beautiful wedding on a small budget. Send Evites instead of fancy invitations. Hire a DJ instead of a live band. But use candles instead of expensive floral centerpieces. Wear a simple slip dress instead of something poofy and pricey. Have a buffet instead of a sit down dinner. And ask your friends to take photos and videos instead of hiring a photographer. Better to get along with your future husband and buy a house for a lifetime than blow the same money in 5 hours. And of course, many details can go wrong with even the best wedding planning, so try not to be a bridezilla. Bridezillas abound in magazines and in movies. If you remember, what was that film called? Um, the one where Julia, uh, what's her name? Julia Andrews, is that her name? No, that's not her name. Julia something um, plays a woman who has kind of lost a love interest to a young woman who is really cute and blonde and sexy and, you know, bubbly and everything else. Right, Zillas. I don't know any. Not that I know of. I know of wedding planners that planned out somebody's wedding. Now that person could act like a bridezilla, but I don't know an actual bridezilla. Thank goodness. Now to day 271. Lay low. If you're engaged, lay low and don't flash your ring in a friend's face or post incessantly on social media, re- assuming that they will be happy for you. Some people, even close friends who are still single, may not be able to take the good news. Unless they are your BFF and your good news is their good news, better that someone else tell them or they read about it online. When talking to insecure, jealous, or not the happiest of or depressed friends, try to downplay it if it comes up at all, or preferably tell them about your bad back or other problems. Social media has made weddings more competitive. Everyone wants to post the perfect to post the perfect venue, six-tiered cake, daddy-daughter dance, designer wedding dress with long train and tiara, 5-inch Manolo Blahnik heels, heartwarming vows, and charming toasts. Before you get caught up in all the photo ops, remind yourself that getting along with your husband before, during, and after the wedding is more important than how everything looks on Facebook and Instagram. Not sharing isn't lying. This is being a good, thoughtful friend. It's being your higher self, putting their feelings before your own. This is like dating, being honest but mysterious. If you found your soulmate and your friend can't get a second date, they might feel they might be a tad jealous. It's human nature. If you want to keep friends, don't brag from your lower self. That's interesting because when you're at a coffee gathering or if you're at a lunch together with friends, it is interesting how sometimes there's one person that's silent, that's being left out of the topic of conversation, and the three or four out of four will either be talking completely or they're just not paying attention to the feelings of the one that's being left behind in the conversation. So be sensitive to that and lay low yourself. So if they're talking about stuff, let them talk about stuff while you're engaged, and you can be happy and quiet and not feel left out. But there are others who sometimes do feel left out, and for their sake, pay attention to them and try to sympathize with them about what's going on. Ask them what's going on. Be a better friend. So, still, when you're engaged, still be grounded in your life. That's important. Being grounded, taking it slowly, and always follow your gut. Your gut will never steer you wrong. When I got married, I had a bad feeling in my gut the day that the guy, I call him the guy now. Well, there was a male entity anyway involved. But I'm trying to say that you have a feeling in your gut at all times. Your gut will not steer you wrong. If you walk into a building and you're feeling sick all of a sudden, think about it. Why are you feeling sick? Maybe you ought to step back outside and not go inside. It's hard to say. And in this case, in two cases, actually, the boyfriend of 9 years, similarly, I got a very sick feeling, like I really, in the pit of my stomach, I felt really sick all of a sudden. Like we were gonna date, and I wound up spending 9 years with this man, and then finally somebody said to me, "Do you know, you seem to be with a man you can't stand." I was like, didn't know. But yes, now I do. Thanks. Wow. 9 years, 9 years, 9 years, 9 years. And so the time I got married, similarly. So what I'm trying to say is fix yourself first. What I'm fixing is myself and the pit of my stomach. I married a guy that turned out to be a really bad piece of news, and I now know that if I ever get that feeling again, I'm going to back straight out and say, you know what? Let's think about this. I'll see you next date. And then next the guy. If you feel that way next to the man, it's really a bad feeling. And never, never, never miss. Always follow your gut. Your gut will never steer you wrong. Your gut will keep you alive and you're in danger. So if you have a bad feeling about walking into a place, try to avoid that situation at all times. And if you have a really good feeling about it, similarly, respond nicely and treat it like you would carry a baby. Well, sometimes you would carry a baby, actually, but um, in another sense of the word, I meant hold a baby. But anyway. So day 272, take the high ground. A client's dream guy proposed. She wanted Whitney Houston's upbeat "I Want to Dance with Somebody," I want to dance with somebody, as her wedding song. Her husband wanted something more subdued but meaningful. "All I Ask of You" from Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera. She called out she called all her bridesmaids, and most of them took her side because they wanted to dance. She and her husband argued about it, and she contacted us. We told her, "You can play dancing music all night, but your wedding song should have more weight and depth than disco. Anywhere you go, let me go too. Love me, that's all I ask of you. If your husband cares so much to choose something so heartfelt, go along with him." Hmm. Because actually, it is only just one song out of the 50 songs or so that will be played that night, and everybody else can dance separately after that song. I guess it's how do they do that? I don't know. I haven't been to enough weddings to know. I've been to quite a few weddings, but I haven't been to enough to know. Day 273. Focus on what matters most. In general, we believe in taking a husband's last name as it's traditional and the rules are traditional, but it's an individual decision, which is why we offer private consultations to discuss the pros and cons. Sometimes a client wants to keep her maiden name or hyphenate it with her husband's last name because of her career or because she loves her father who only has daughters and wants to keep her last name going. Others want to keep their maiden name because they are celebrities, VIPs, or authors. However, Jennifer Lopez decided to take Ben Affleck's last name because it's traditional and romantic. What if your partner asked you for a prenup? Rules girls are not gold diggers, so we have no problem signing a prenup. But if she has more money, she can ask him to sign her prenup. We don't believe that money is a big factor in a rules marriage. You both married for love, for richer or poorer. So it's not a deal breaker. Interesting. Yeah, I watched that film where there was a prenup. I'm going to go into that after a second. Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Affleck. That's how come Jennifer Lopez disappeared off the face of the earth, and now they're getting divorced, I think. That's what I saw in something about last week. Um, Something about at least somebody put an article out saying they were deciding to separate or something. Um, and a prenup happened in what is that film that tells the story of Donald Trump and his first wife and how he had her sign a prenup agreement and she almost uh, wouldn't marry him. And then when they were way back before Trump was president, way back before. I remember uh, thinking he was a Democrat for one thing. Actually, his dad was a lifelong Democrat. But what I'm trying to say is the word prenup went into the popularity at that point of time when Donald Trump divorced his first wife. His first wife was Ivana Trump, and she had to sign a prenup before, and it left her $20,000 or something, and she was mad about it or something, and I know that she sued him for a uh, mm, she sued him for a um, more of it. I think I don't know what happened, but then he married Marla Maples. Stanford University has a Maples Pavilion that he put in there. He put money in for the name. Stanford University has a Maples Pavilion after that second wife, Marla Maples' name. And then he married somebody else, and I think it was Melania at that point. Oh my gosh, my hair is all tousled. It's kind of the rules, but not 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 bedroom hair, not like uh, bedhead. Apply the rules to achieve your higher self. Number one, the rules still apply even at your own wedding. Let your husband find you in the crowd and ask you to dance. Wow, that's great. I want to dance with my wife. Where is she? I've seen that anxious look. And I guess in the rules, now I remember that we want the man to have that feeling all the time when he doesn't have it, when he's not with us. Like, where's my wife? And I also know a trick that who said it? I think it was the authors. I'm not sure. When the husband is going away on a trip and he's leaving and you're saying goodbye, kiss him really hard. I love it. Number two, when you want to blow the budget, remember it's more important to be happily married than to have an Instagram perfect wedding. Marriage is about compromise. Yeah, compromise, receiving and giving. You're getting something out of it, you're giving something to it. Number three, when you're engaged, don't be a bridezilla. Also, try to be sensitive and helpful to single friends who haven't been so lucky in love. That is exactly what we have been talking about. When you want to blow the budget, it's more important to be happily married than to have an Instagram perfect wedding. I happen to have a friend who has a daughter who did something not as good as whatever. She did everything online and asked her friends to send her money for the purposes of, and so they would put in the money to buy things online for the couple. But the couple somehow, you got to watch out for this one. The couple somehow had control of the money, and they took it and used it instead of the helicopter tour of Hawaii. They used it on buying an Audi. We wonder about that. And they're not perfectly married, so that you know, I guess it's something to watch out for. You never know. Nowadays, I don't, I don't have a wedding registry, right? So, um, I don't know how they work right now, but everything high tech and AI coming in, we've got a tsunami of AI coming in. So we've got to remember that that's the way of the future, and if you're not ready for it, you're going to drown. So be ready for all kinds of high tech, interesting influences on your weddings and your life and your marriages and everything. Um, that other friend I mentioned before, that uh, uh, somebody imitated her voice with AI and tricked her parents into giving them something. Um, that made them feel really bad, you know. I don't think it was the money they were mad about. They were mad about the ability to make that feeling of being manipulated. So that is no good to do, to manipulate your friends. So um, next week we will go into week 2. All committed relationships need the rules. That's still in course 5. Create respectful marriages and partnerships. Um, your rules weekly pep talk for that one. The rules not only work for dating, romantic partners, and husbands, but for various other committed relationships you have in your life. If you're the type of person who thinks she has the answers for everyone, if only so and so did this or so and so did that, everything would be wonderful. Remind yourself that you are not a relationship expert. This is when you need to pull back and realize that no one's asking for your advice. It sounds altruistic to want to save the world, but it can also be intrusive if no one is asking. Yeah. I was once a personal organizer, professional organizer, and I didn't know that part. I wanted to help my cousins, and I finally asked my mentor what to do, and she said, "Well, your position is that you people always want you to do what you want to do." So I quit. This week, here, focus on waiting to be asked for help from everyone in every area of your life, including waiting for those on social media to contact you first. Remember, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Giving unsolicited advice can be misconstrued as meddling and also takes away precious time that could be spent on yourself. As spiritual leader Emmett Fox said, those who mind other people's business always neglect their own. What are you neglecting in your own life? Do that and leave everyone else alone. That was a lesson learned for me. I had to learn that lesson the hard way by being turned into somebody that everyone was mad at. So this was 30 years ago, and I still have a few people that haven't forgotten that. Oh my gosh. So that's where we are. Today was Thursday, the Rules TR Thursday, and we were in the Rules Handbook, a guide to creating loving and lasting relationships. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Friday. Okay? Old Kinderhook. Bye-bye.